Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Isuzu Ute A-League download. The season is finished, so Archie Thompson has just decided he can't be bothered. But that's good for us, because it means Batka is here. Norm Sekulovsky, Macedonia's finest. Welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Hey.
Archie out, Batka in.
Exactly. Thomas Sorensen, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm just loving the tribute. Harry Kane getting the first trophy of
We've got to get around him, Tomo.
And you know, you're celebrating it. Great.
I've seen Harry Kane walk mournfully around a football pitch and applaud in sadness so many times. So for him to get a trophy, and I know this is an A-League show ostensibly, but on his Instagram, him getting progressively drunker is just, it's music for my soul. That's what it is. I know he's a big fan of the show, as is Eric Dyer. So
he loves it.
Well done to both of you from everyone here at the A-League. Should we get on with this then? Season's finished. We knew Auckland won the league. They lost to Western United. Does that mean anything if they meet again in the finals? Melbourne City smashed Sydney FC, so they're in the Champions League. That's good for them. Sydney FC are out of everything. Is this a disaster? We'll find out from these experts. Adelaide sneak in, Stephen Bradbury style. They even put that post out, but you know, I've been here long enough to know who he is, and it's a very funny race. And credit to that guy, because he put a lot of time in speed skating. It's not just a joke figure. He worked very hard, and he earned that gold medal. And I'm with you, Stephen. That's enough of me. Where should we start?
A lot of tributes this morning.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of tributes.
Is there anyone who'd like to pay tribute to anybody?
No.
Okay,
No,
fine.
just a tribute to a great season. I think we've equaled the most amount of goals in a season.
We have.
And we still got finals to play. So it's been amazing. So still got a finals to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, cracking year. Plenty of young guns that have come through.
Yeah.
Really, really exciting final series, and can't wait.
Yeah, and I liked how you said we, because sometimes people don't think we've done that much to bring all the goals to this season, but
No.
secretly.
We take a bit of credit.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with Melbourne City then. So they finished second. We knew Auckland had won the league. Melbourne City comes second. They hammered Sydney 5-1 back here.
For me, it was just comprehensive. I thought they were so clinical going forward. Look, we can touch on Sydney defensively, but you look at, Caputo's finish, Tilio again, all class. I think that's a couple of weeks in a row, or a few weeks in a row, where he scored, world-class
That
goals.
first touch from Tilio is so good,
it's
right?
just, it's magical. And for me, timing-wise, like, you wouldn't want to be facing Melbourne City in the finals, because they've just literally leveled up. So it's a pretty scary proposition.
Yeah, no, they've got one loss in the last 11, so they've hit their stride. They've got their players back.
Depth.
Yeah, again, the young players are firing. I think the disappointing thing, if you're a Sydney fan, is just how it happened. You come in, it's a massive game. They've had 2 shots at it just to get a point, and the lack of desire in crucial moments. I think that first, Bates is a great strike, but as much as we've lauded Dr. Costa, it's weak. He sort of half-heartedly, he gets spun around and he doesn't really dive in to block it. And that was just several. Popovic wasn't great in this game as well. Got done a few times. Even on the last one, Caceres, I know the game has gone by that, but again, he doesn't really try to block it. And you know what? They deserved not to be in the finals, because they didn't grab it, and other teams have. Yeah, you can talk about Adelaide, that they snuck in, but you know what? They've had 2 chances, Sydney, and I think a lot of questions now has to be asked about, manager, players, who's staying, who's going.
Let me ask the question. Should the manager stay?
You know what?
Big question.
Thank you so much. Is it too early for a question of that?
Wow. 5 minutes in.
I think I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussions on manager, on players, who to keep, and find a way to go forward. I think first priority should be that back line. Losing Hayden Matthews halfway through was I think,
They knew that was going to happen, though, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was a bigger loss than you probably thought, and they hadn't replaced him. And I think it's been shown plenty of times this season that, going forward, exciting players, Sekitic, obviously, what a breakout season, so there's been some great highlights, and we've again, Dr. Costa's been brilliant,
absolutely.
Had his moments, they've had plenty, but at the back, they've let themselves down again, and, for a big club like Sydney.
Should they always be there? I'm trying to say
it's
that
been
first time in 3 years they've not made it. They're fifth time in 15 years. So it's not like they are there every single year. It's like sort of once every 3 years they don't make
it. If you rewind to when we started the season, I think we were all agreed that Sydney were probably, the front runners. They had the best team on paper. They've spent big on big players. They've, Senya, obviously Douglas Costa, Klimala.
And they've got quality, right? Klimala, Lolly,
yeah, Costa, Lolly, has been one of the best players in the league for the last couple of seasons. And he sort of went off the boil a little bit, sort of towards the back end.
Towards the back end, yeah.
Yeah, and just haven't, just been able to put it together. And I think that's where questions have
to be asked. Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge you asked. I think it's, what was it, first time in 3 years? I think for me, a club like Sydney probably needs to be there year in, year out. Like Tom, I just mentioned, budget is strong. They've got a good core group of players. Segacic comes through. There's a good group of young boys there. I think they have to be there, Maxi. In terms of what happens from a coaching perspective, there's going to have to be some internal decisions made. I still think from a coaching standpoint, there's quality within the ranks there, and it just might be a really hard look in the mirror. And then from
how hard do you have to?
How hard? Well,
when I really look in the mirror and I see how I've weathered and aged over the years, I then walk away and I haven't achieved much by looking in the mirror. So, like, what can they?
It's going to be
or is it an analogy?
No,
it's an analogy.
It's going to be a super hard look in the mirror.
Okay.
But to Tomo's point, it's probably going to come down to recruitment in key positions, Tomo.
Yeah, and I think I did a UEFA degree three
well done.
3 years. No,
congratulations.
No.
Tribute to Thomas Sorensen. Here we are.
No.
Well
it has
done.
nothing to do with me because I did that degree with Alexander Baumgarten. So he's pretty new as that sporting director. So he sits there now with all the responsibility of the recruitment. And you know what? That's a big
role.
Big role.
It's a big role.
And he's pretty new in that job. So we'll see how he handles it because even it was said on the press conference. Coach is one thing, but ultimately signing players, who's staying, who's leaving, even decisions on the coach is further up the line, and that's where Alexander Baumgarten now sits, and has to make decisions.
Correct. Do you want to put your qualifications on the table? No?
Cert 2 in hospitality.
No, but
really
maybe
just highlight.
Stop it.
I did the degree, but I'm in no job. Alexander is actually doing pretty well, so
that's very good. Cert 2.
Certificate 2 in hospitality.
Okay. Yeah. What does that qualify you to do?
Apprentice chef, I think.
Great.
So
you add that to grade 8 clarinet. We've got this absolutely
bang.
sorted, haven't we?
There we go.
Let's talk about Melbourne City. It's interesting you say you wouldn't want to face them. They've hit some form. You wouldn't want to face Auckland. You wouldn't want to face Western United. You wouldn't. Wanderers are flying. You wouldn't want to face them.
Yeah.
You would want to face Adelaide. It feels like this is like that's the only person because a lot of teams are coming into these finals in quite a good position. Back here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned that's the final series in a nutshell. Everyone's flying, with no disrespect to Adelaide.
Some disrespect, but you never know, right?
You just don't know. It's a completely different game. But for me, that first group of 5 teams that you mentioned, you just throw a blanket over them, and we're really going to struggle to tip, but we're going to have to give it a crack, Tomo.
Yeah, and I think for Adelaide, like the big miss is Archie Goodwin. It looks like, we saw he pulled up with that hamstring injury, and all our sources here behind the screen, all more or less confirm it. It hasn't been 100% confirmed, but that he is probably out.
Like I'm talking about all these teams that look strong. What have City got that perhaps the others don't have?
No, I think Jonathan Cohen coming back. You see, Kuhn has been brilliant. Got a goal in this game, and then just Caputo was out for a lot of the season, but he's scored 4 or 5 goals.
Mehmeti comes on. He's had a really good year.
They've got heaps of with Lecky. It's still the question mark. Can he offer something in the finals? Yeah. But that's the only question mark. They've peaked at the right time, and that's what you want to do. So, they, along with maybe, Western Sydney, they look to be the 2 teams that probably have the most momentum.
Let's talk about Western United. They beat Auckland 4-2. That sets up this game against Adelaide on Friday night at the windy Ironbark Fields. What's this? How much can we read into this game?
The Tarneit Fortress is always a hard place to go, and they've turned it into that fortress. Do we read into it? Potentially. I mean, again, I think off the back of Auckland winning the Premier's Plate, they probably would have, want to put their foot down and show that they're they're the new guns in town. But Western just brilliant in front of goal. I think Roos.
I like him. I like because Ibuzuki's out, but I like him.
Ibuzuki's comes in, great finish. Botic gets back on the board, and they just look like a different team, especially there out in Tarneit.
Like we were talking about Malik Francois. He had a bit of a, he got caught on the ball. I think it was just sloppy. Peinecker again, bad clearance, and it was sort of just that performance where. You got one eye further down the line, and
it's hard to get up for it if you don't have to be up for it.
Yeah, and they've had to make the travel, but that's. I agree with you. That's where a little bit can creep in. Now they have to sit out for a week, and
it's a little bit of doubt, Tomo. Almost.
Yeah, it can take a little bit of momentum away from a great season. But you know what? I think Steve Corica has shown, and I think they got enough experience there to when it comes to it, they can turn it back on again. I want to see that first leg, but yeah, I still wouldn't sort of raise the white flag for them.
Write them off.
Yeah, no, definitely
not writing
definitely
them off.
not.
No. But Western United, I mean, they are
good,
especially at home.
And I know you are happy that Angus Thurgate
on the season.
Max has stop football right now. And there's no more football can be played. What a goal! What a goal! What a game! What a season, Angus. Thank you for doing that. Look, I like that. I think he's a good player. I saw it start. I can't remember how it began. As kind of I'd never heard of this bloke, and then actually turns out it's incredibly solid pros. Really good. Has been brilliant for them all season. But bigger than that, can you make a case for Adelaide going there on Friday night? Even under the lights, it feels like even more pressure on them.
I think the Goodwin potential loss is massive.
It's a big out.
Because the goals he's got from within the box. Because I think they've got enough players with the service. But now
were they good for the first couple of months of the season?
Yeah,
they were.
They were.
Yeah, they were flying.
They were flying. They were
top two,
at the
top
heels
three
of Auckland for quite a while. So it has been a drop off, and I think defensively that's where they've. Obviously swapped a bit at keeper. That's been inconsistent. I think defensively, a little bit like Sydney. They provide an exciting going forward, but they always have that hope. It's just one leg. So yeah, no,
that's it. One chance.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. I think they're definitely Western United are playing great at the moment.
And how much chance do you give Western United to going the whole way?
Wow, good question.
Thanks so much. Take your time. Take your time. We've got all day.
Again, that first five that you mentioned, with no disrespect to Adelaide, I think any one of them five can win. So I think it's about form. If they get a good result against Adelaide, they can go all the way. We're going to back in JA, especially after that conversation that we haven't stopped talking
massive.
about
6
months ago.
Yeah, and again, I think, sort of more longer and broader, they've had some issues off the field. There was obviously a transfer ban, but now they've got a new investor that's taken it needs to be cleared, but they've taken a majority stake in the club. So, potentially, that can just lift a little bit of that negativity that you can sort of sense. So, you know what, I agree with you. I think anyone's game, and they've got an advantage in a potential semi-final of playing there. And I think it could potentially be against Melbourne City. And I think Melbourne City probably haven't got a home field advantage because they don't generate that crowd that can put a lot of pressure on. So,
spot on.
Why not? They have got a chance.
Western Sydney Wanderers went to Macarthur. They won 3-1, unbeaten in 12 games. Their best run in 12 years. Sets up a playoff with Melbourne victory. Quite fancy victory for this. I don't know why.
No, but
Wanderers are flying.
If it's anything to go by, like we saw the game earlier in the season, like it was Wanderers won 4-2,
end to end.
Victory were up 2-0, but then the comeback. So hopefully we'll get another
banger.
6-goal thriller. Like let's hope for that. So. You know what? I think they showed in this game the confidence, even though they went down. Jaklic, we got to mention him as I think he's the 5th player to ever have 10 assists and 10 goals in a season.
Yeah, 12 assists.
Fourth player.
10 goals, 12 assists.
Yeah, no, he had an amazing season. And just the way he
I love that finish, yeah.
I don't know, Lawrence Thomas will probably, he got stranded a little bit.
Sold the farm, the house, the car, the milk bar.
But the finish was cool. It was just a calm, sometimes you can panic, but he just opened his body and slotted it past him.
You just think he just decided at that moment to have a gap year?
Yeah,
Just
that's
say,
it.
That's it. I'm going travelling.
One bag.
I want to see the world.
And off
a
you go.
stick, a little hanky, off I go.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the wrong time to do that, wasn't it? But yeah, no, I mean, how have Wanderers found this form?
I think they've found a collective. I think they, you know, they're pretty sturdy in defence. I think Lawrence Thomas is actually, you know, I think you can sort of go back and when he came back in the side, I think it just, you know, sometimes there's not much that needs to be sort of pushed in one direction for it to turn. And I think you got, obviously Milanovic has been unbelievable, but even, you know, they've got people like Antonsen comes off the bench.
Yep.
They've had, you know, Borrello. Yeah, so they're just a solid unit.
Yep.
And you know, again, they seem to have sort of, you know, he generated that energy that Western Sydney used to have, you know, a little bit of
that belief.
That belief, and,
Yep.
you know, they got the fans going, and it'll be a tough place to go.
Yeah. No, I think they've got every line covered. Like you mentioned, Tomo, from goalkeeper all the way up front. They've got a beast in each line that's absolutely ticking the box. You look at my man, the Spartan, 300, Panthers-opoulos, scores a goal again.
Yeah, I didn't want to say the name.
Leave the ethnic names to me. You go with the Anglo names. That's how we'll roll from here on out. But they've literally got that player in each line that's, you know, performing at 8, 9 out of 10. And then really there's only one word we have to mention just to finish it off. Knackers. Like,
What a guy.
Our man Knackers has just taken it to the next level. Yeah. Like, he's pressing that button. I don't know what it is on PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah.
But it's the far right
L1.
one.
Oh, L2, is it? Yeah.
You know.
Is it the sprint one?
Oh, it must be, yeah.
Did you have Daley Thompson's decathlon here? It's probably Stephen Bradbury's speed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can go really fast.
Like, let's go. Like, when I grew up, every game was just about
that's it. Yeah.
how quick you could
How
press
quick
the
can you
button.
press it?
The
Yeah.
trouble with the modern game is sometimes on FIFA you're clean through, but you press circle and then you just cross it to no one out there. And I'm like, you know, Edmund Hughes International Soccer, Kickoff 2, Sensible Soccer. These are the games, guys. Striker, you could slide tackle up the pitch quicker than you can run.
Wow.
That was a game.
What was that played on?
That was on an Amiga 500. But I had a megabyte upgrade, so I was like the cool kid in town.
Wow.
Had different noises for when you hit the
There'll
post.
be a lot of who won't have a clue what we're talking
Championship Manager 93. Computer games never got that good. I got Hales Owen to the Champions League final. Can you believe it? Let's talk about Victory then. So Victory going to play Wanderers. Victory drew 1-1 with Newcastle Jets. I mean, the game didn't mean much, did it? Because, you know, Victory couldn't go up, they couldn't go down. They were going to finish where they finished. Created a whole lot, didn't take all their chances. That could be a bit of a Victory story, but I think they're my tip.
They're your tip.
Ooh. Okay.
Not because they're the best team, they aren't, but they're the most fun.
Yeah.
And I'm here for the
fun.
expected fun, the XF, in these finals. I think they'll do very well to beat Wanderers. They'll do very well to win the next one after that and the final. But there's something about them, when they click, that they're the most exciting team to watch, I think.
Yeah, I think that front 5, 6, you know, they've got plenty of players. We were just trying to, like, who scored goals. They've obviously got Burgos, Machas, like Asani is in great form.
Valupale was good.
Valupale, yeah, and they got Santos on the bench, Piscopo,
Yeah,
you know,
I like
and then
Piscopo.
Ryan Teague, who's had a great season. You know, so you know, but I think this game was sort of a microcosm of their season. You know, they're so great. They obviously have the Asani, you know, overturned penalty. So they could have potentially been 2 up and game over, and then Duncan decides to play out from the back and they lose it. And
We've had this conversation.
and, you know, and it's just, that's my only worry, is that they're just not balanced, or they can't string a 90-minute game together. It'd be interesting to see what happens at the goalkeeping.
Can I just say great minds here? Because
Okay.
I had written microcosm. Just for the tape.
Wow.
Can we explain that for the people at home?
In a nutshell for you, Batka.
Thanks for the
Their
simpleton.
season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Microcosm for the guys with UEFA qualifications. You've got a Cert 2
In
in
Hospo.
Hospo. In a nutshell.
In a
Would you
nutshell.
agree with it? Would you agree with that
Yeah.
summation?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think they've got the quality. We spoke about the great reset and goalkeepers, Tom. I don't know if you caught that. If you've caught up with that episode,
I don't know. Also, will Langerak, will he be back? I'm not sure. I haven't heard.
I'm not
any-
too sure.
I'm not too sure.
Okay.
But I'm probably with Tomo. If they can string that result, you're probably right. They are one of the most exciting teams, but there's no slip ups in finals footy, so that's what they're going to have to be careful of.
It's a good line. Have you used that before?
No, first time.
No slip-ups in finals footy. But there will be, won't there? Someone will.
Someone will. Well,
Are they defensively? Is that an issue for victory? You just think they've got so much going forward?
Yeah. Again, I think we're going to see an exciting game, but I just feel they're just facing the wrong team in the wrong stadium at the wrong time.
Okay. There are three issues.
Yeah, it's three big issues. But yeah, no, I can't wait for turn into it because I think it's going to be a blockbuster.
Could it be? Is Juan Mata? What's up with Juan Mata?
No, but he's signing for another season, apparently.
Is he?
So he's been offered
Could this
another
be like he's sort of
golden
flirting
moment.
around and he could just fly in right at the end and just dominate
Absolutely,
a final?
he
Why
could.
not?
Oh, imagine that.
The golden assist right at the end.
Would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good
Okay.
guy, Juan
Yeah.
Mata.
Let's get around
We
it.
like him. Sign for another year. It's having a good time.
Oh, I don't know, but I think there's definitely been offered. I think he's considering another year. So I think he likes it in Australia. So why not?
It's a nice place.
It is,
isn't
and
it?
I'm still here. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And my contract ran out a long time ago.
Is that right? Okay.
That might be the secret sauce. He might be the secret sauce in the background as to the
We
why.
knew that. We knew when we were
and
talking.
adding value in the changing rooms.
Well, we knew that when he got here. We knew the reputation that he had.
Yeah.
I've interviewed him a couple of times. You know that lots of clubs have loved having him around because he's a bright guy. He's good around. You know, and there was so much. Like the first 3 months of the season was he only played 10 minutes. What's going on? He played 5 minutes. They started a game. Why aren't they playing him, etc. When they weren't doing that well. And now, you know, you knew that he would be good. I know, you will know this better than me. You hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, as an older player, you know, you would talk to the young kids in the dressing room when they come up to you. I don't know how much that happens. Like at training, do people sit next to Juan Mata and say, tell us, oh Juan, about your time in the Champions League? Because you don't do that in a dressing room environment, do you really? Or maybe you do. Or does he just sort of take centre stage and say, he wouldn't go, let me tell you, everybody, about this time I did something good?
No, there's probably times organically within the changing room or on the training track where he's getting around particular players, young, mid-age, old. It wouldn't matter. To have that insight and someone with that experience in the changing room, I think, is golden.
It wouldn't matter for Juan Mata.
Bang!
Wow.
I'll put it down there and
Exactly.
get straight
It's an
up.
open goal.
Can you show that on the?
No, that was right. That was
Wow,
here.
that was just
That
off
was
your
just
head.
right there. It's amazing between these. Wow.
We've got some synergy. Archie's got problems here, by the way.
Thompson.
Archie Thompson's got some big problems.
He's been dragging down this show, and it was really hard because he's such a lovable guy. But
Oh,
you
we
know,
love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Central Coast Mariners, Brisbane Roar. What do we want to say about this game, Thomas?
You know what? Two seasons that didn't matter. But I think for Central Coast they've underperformed. I think they were still, they had Sainsbury in. They were hoping for something. At least we were sitting there. Yeah, they lost their first 3 or 4, but they did that last year, so they'll suddenly roar into form.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
I think the only a real positive is some of the young players that's broken through. Arthur de Lima obviously got his second goal in this one, a young player. Eames has been a really bright spot. DiPizio, I think, as well, came on in this late on. So they've definitely taken that. And I think Jackson came out afterwards and we haven't performed where we were, but at least we got some building blocks if we can keep holding them for next year. And they probably didn't deliver exactly, but it's also been tough. They lost a fair few players.
Lost
from
a lot
last
of players,
year,
yeah.
And so you're relying on that chemistry to hit straight on, and it just hasn't been the season. But Brisbane, I think, at least they finish on a bright spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And Klein with a brace, which was great. But probably from a perspective of both clubs, it's going to come down to a recruitment scenario, and we touched on it before how difficult it is with Sydney FC, with clubs that have got actually fairly decent budgets. You've got two smaller clubs, well, not smaller clubs, but probably spending less, and trying to figure out who to bring in and bring out obviously is really, really, really important at club level. So I think that's where they're going to have to focus their energy in the off-season. In the same breath or sentence, they've found a couple of young gems, both sides of the fence. They're both Central Coast and Brisbane. So rebuild for both.
Yeah, and I think Satkovic laid it out afterwards.
I've been in football a long time, but to give you some context, my video analyst at the moment. He's a manager at a pizza restaurant. He doesn't get paid by the club. I've got no S&C, but my kit man does a good job of GPS reports. We don't have a gym at our training ground. The things that we're without, the list is so long.
You know what? We always come back and we've laughed about it. Like the managers are trying to, like I did my best, and I've trying to obviously sell themselves. But yeah, there are these clubs they have a lot of issues compared to some of the bigger clubs with the financial struggles, and that's one of the things that Brisbane, have to overcome, and they have to find more of the Sam Kleins, from maybe the NPL
a couple of nuggets
to come in and make a difference. Find some of the younger players. Abubakar, I think, has been a good signing.
Yeah,
but
really
can they keep hold of him for next year? So for them, they finished really strong with 3 wins out of the last 4, but where are they come start of next season? I think that's the big question.
That's the question.
What can they do? They need to sell players, and we'll see.
Sort of depends how many orders are coming in, because once you've chucked it in the big oven, you got 5 or 10 minutes. Do a bit of analysis.
So you're saying if that pizza bar does really well,
then that's going to affect.
Then he'll be happy to just be the video analyst.
Well, no. I'm saying
year?
if there are a lot of orders coming in, he doesn't really have time to do the video analysis.
Oh,
but
okay.
if he can just make the pizzas, you do the bit of a. You've got the certificate, so correct me if any of this is wrong. Chuck the stuff on, put it on the big stick, woof,
Whack it in.
Then you got 10 minutes.
Put it on autopilot.
Do they have autopilot?
Just click the button.
Click the button, but then you've got maybe 8 minutes before you have to go. Vroom, vroom.
Or maybe he's just AIing it all. So he's just putting an AI through, like cut some clips up.
Yeah, because you can AI the video analysis. You can't AI a pizza. Come on.
No.
That's when the
I'm
world
saying,
will end.
that's where, like, so he focuses on the pizza and then he AIs the video
Okay, that makes
analysis.
sense. Word on Brian Kaltak, last game for the Mariners.
You would call him like a club legend. Like he's won everything. He's just been a stalwart there. He's been a rock in that defense. So, I think it's he's obviously want to try to move on to something different, and they're definitely losing a leader and a big gap. So Sainsbury will have to step up and be that leader in there. So I think it's it's a bit sad for the league because he has been a big player.
Perth won 2-0 in Wellington. Adam Taggart got both. He's been good, Adam Taggart.
His finish for the first one was outstanding.
Yeah.
He takes it well, sends the defender off to get some burek, comes back and then pops it right corner. Pretty happy with that.
What should he be thinking? Because he's had a good season, a good player. It's all
he's a local boy, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure Taggart is.
Yeah.
Or do you pack your bags and just ship off, Tomo?
It's another question, like where do they go? But I think they need to keep hold of him. I think he showed in this that he's a difference maker. But again, you could also see if he gets another offer to go to the Middle East or to go to Asia, he's still a top class player. He's obviously involved with the Socceroos as well. So, it depends on what they are willing to offer him. But you're seeing definitely some, like we've talked about Jalen Pearman. I think again in this game he showed, he's got the strength in midfield. He's got that power to shoot from range, and he's brave. I quite like how he's sort of stepped onto, into this Perth team. So, they're still like they could go either way, but at least they've showed a bit of spark this late on.
The ref had a tremendous moustache in this game, I noticed. Barbarousse has had a big chance at one. They'll expect him to snaffle that up,
one,
don't you? And Jaden Pearman kept shooting from 30 yards, but keep doing it because it's fun. Sebastian Despotovsky, son of Glory Great Bobby, one of your teammates, debuted as a late sub. Does that make you feel old that your teammates' children are now playing?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. Look, exciting for Bobby. I played with the great man, gun player, and to see that father-son aspect, which is quite refreshing, is awesome for a young lad to get his debut. It doesn't matter whether it's home or away. It's a pretty big moment in a footballer's life. So really exciting for him, for the family. And hopefully we see a little bit more of that. I think I touched on it a few episodes ago. It'd be great to get, 5, 6, 7, 8 really good, talented young WA boys and just use the Glory as a platform to build these players in the pro league in Australia.
All right, now look, Player of the Year's coming up. If you want to learn about it, and we do, watch this.
Each regular season match in the Isuzu Youth A-League is voted on by an individual from 3 separate panels. The 3 panels contain technical members or former players, media representatives and match officials. Votes are collated from all panellists to establish a final 3-2-1 for each match. These 3-2-1 votes are then tallied up to award the Johnny Warren Medal winner at the conclusion of the regular season.
I'm glad we've watched it. Who's going to win it?
I think,
Angus Thurgate. Thanks so much for your time.
No, I think, it's an open race, because there's been, I think early in the season we will say Joe Lolly, he was on an absolute, he was tearing the league up, but then he's fallen. And then you got some of the younger players in that Golden Boot race, Botic, Sekic. But then Ryan Teague, he'd broken through with the Socceroos, and I think he's, if you can't take him out, like maybe, I think for me he would probably be my, my favorite. I think you saw when he was not playing for Victory how they struggled and how they lost their balance, and then he's goal threat as well. I think he's got 5 or 6 goals this season, some absolute crackers. But it's tight. Like, it could go.
It can go anyway.
It could go anyway. There's been heaps, and the great thing is it's all young players. Like, most of them are young players, and that's fantastic.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I've backed in Teague for the Socceroos, and I'm going to back Teague in here. I know Tomo's stolen a little bit of my thunder, but that's all good.
That's fine.
Great to see we align. Yeah, absolutely love that. But for all the reasons that Tomo just mentioned and more, I mean, even if you look at that Socceroos game that he plays, it was outstanding. But from a season perspective, he's done everything right. Such a great player for that football club, and could potentially help him go all the way for your pick for the final. So, Teague, my man for the medal.
All right, Golden Boot then. Share between Archie Goodwin and Segitic. That's what happened.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got the youngest winner ever, I think, in Archie Goodwin.
20 years and 178 days.
Yeah, so, again, that shows that, again, it's an exciting league, and it's an opportunity for a lot of young players to break through. You talked about the story this weekend. There's hope for the future, which is great.
It's a great blueprint for any young footballer in this country. Not only do you have the A-League, who's blooded, I don't know how many youngsters we've blooded this season, and you got the Championship/B League coming in to Australian football in October. There's never been a better time for young football players.
And what do we, obviously Sekic tied. Like, will he stay in the A-League, or will someone snap him up?
Yeah, good question.
Because that's one of the stories. And will Sydney sell him if the right price comes in, or do they do whatever they can to hold
on to him? Yeah.
That's going to be a story to follow, I think.
Yeah. And look, 2 other Aussies, Botic and Milanovic, 3rd and 4th, which is great.
Yeah.
Klimala, who I still think is Australian, despite him being Polish, 5th. That's a positive sign, as you're saying, for young Australian footballers. I think it's the first time ever that the top 4 are all young Australian players.
Big tick.
Big tick, everybody. All right, then. We've got Western United versus Adelaide on Friday night, 7:35 kickoff at Iron Bark Fields. Tell me what's going to happen, Batka.
The Tarnate Fortress.
Yeah.
Our chat with JA.
Yeah.
Western United win.
Comfortable?
It's that easy.
Or tight?
No, I think comfortable.
Okay.
I think comfortable.
All right. How do you see it?
I think as well that Western United are going to win, but I think it's going to be tight. I think Adelaide will pull up a fight. They've still got plenty of experience. I think it's going to be 2-1, for Western. I think that they'll use their home advantage and creep over the line.
Then on Saturday night, the Combank, 7:40 kickoff. Western Sydney Wanderers versus my guys, Melbourne Victory.
Your guys.
My guys.
Okay. I think I already answered it earlier. I think it's going to be...
Answer it again, for goodness sake.
Yes, and it's going to be Western Sydney. Hopefully like a 5-3.
Oh, right.
Like an absolute cracker, because I think definitely Victory is going to score goals, but so is Western. So, and I think they've got that area now riled up. They struggled maybe a year or two ago with the fans there, but the atmosphere is going to be cracking, and that's going to also be an advantage. So they're in good form, home field advantage. Whatever, 5-3, 4-2, give it to me.
Give it to Thomas. What do you want?
I won't give it to Thomas.
No,
because he's a big man. I think Victory.
Yeah,
I'm going to jump on the Maxi bandwagon. I think Victory might get the job done on penalties. So controversial here.
Yeah.
Controversial.
That could happen.
Incident packed.
Incident packed.
Yeah, we know that's going to be.
It's going to happen. It's got too many big names in this fixture for it not to happen. So really looking forward to it, but can't wait. I think Victory on penalties.
And then we'll be back on Monday.
Yeah.
All of us.
On road, like.
Yep.
We've hired you. I hope you don't mind.
No, all good.
You,
I'm in.
Thomas, Archie, looking back at those 2 games. Have to get forensic when it's 2 games now, don't we?
We have
because
to.
all this superficial analysis we've done all season, now you'll see the real quality that we deliver on the Isuzu U A-League download. The most superior of the A-League shows, although, look, Total A-Leagues with Vince and Tommy is good. The warm-up with Daniel and with Nick, also excellent. 3 amazing TV programs. You don't need any more. You almost don't need to watch the games, although you should watch them. But the analysis we give you is sort of mind-blowing. I've blown my own mind today.
Not surprised.
No.
Not surprised.
We had Microcosm. We had the Juan Mata thing. You happy?
Wrapped.
Yeah. Perfect.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Thomas.
Perfect.
Thanks, Norm.
Pleasure.
See you next week.